To Shoigu is to pretend everything is fine when it isn't. And a Russian goodwill gesture is actually a headlong panicked retreat. The Ukraine war has created a host of slang words used by both sides to describe the other, usually in unflattering terms. It has spawned a million memes and even a tongue-in-cheek organisation that deploys them like weapons on social media. And it has seen the battlefield flooded with military patches, some of which are new and some of which hark back to the darkest episodes of human history. All of which can be beguiling for an outsider looking in. So, here is the definitive guide to the slang and symbols that have defined the Ukraine war so far. In J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, the Orcs are a brutish, violent, rampaging horde who show no mercy, even to their own, and are slavishly loyal to their Dark Lord. These days, the same word is used to refer to Russian troops, while Russia itself is known as Mordor, the shadowy realm from which Sauron and his orcs come in the novel. Also commonly used are Vatnik and Tanki. Literally speaking, the former is a padded cotton jacket that was issued to Soviet soldiers during the Second World War. And the latter was originally coined to describe those who supported the Soviets using tanks to crush rebellions. But metaphorically, they have both become terms that refer to someone who is blindly patriotic and swallows Russian propaganda without question. From Vatnik comes the word mobig, which has the same connotations, but specifically refers to someone mobilized into Russia's ranks to fight in Ukraine. Finally, there is koloradi. This word is used by Ukrainians to refer to Russian sympathizers within their own country who often wear black and orange striped paraphernalia to mimic the Order of St. George, one of Russia's highest military honors. The word is derived from the Colorado potato beetle, which is considered an invasive pest which destroys crops and therefore livelihoods. The beetle also has orange and black stripes down its back. Banderite is a term often used by Putin and comes from Stepan Bandera, a nationalist far-right leader who tried to proclaim a Ukrainian state back in 1941 as the Nazis invaded to push out the Soviets. Bandera allied himself to Hitler in the hopes of getting support, but ended up falling foul of both sides. First, he was locked up by the Gestapo, then he was assassinated by the KGB. Putin uses his name to refer to the Nazis, fascists, and far-right nationalists who he claims are now running Ukraine. These are old Soviet terms, first used during the invasion of Afghanistan to describe dead and wounded Soviet soldiers. It is thought 200 referred to the typical weight of a coffin containing a dead soldier being transported back home, which was around 200 kilos. Cargo 200 therefore became slang for a dead soldier, in turn spawning Cargo 300, which referred to wounded men, which Ukrainians now use to describe Russian casualties. Ukrainians use this word to refer to explosions in Russia or on Russian-occupied territory in Ukraine. It takes the mickey out of Russian propaganda, which often refers to blasts at ammo dumps or military bases as a clap to downplay the danger. In Russian, the word for clap sounds very similar to the word for cotton, so Ukrainians decided to take the absurd analogy one step further. And the smoke clouds often seen on the horizon after such explosions look like unpicked cotton. Dropping a cigarette also refers to explosions in Russian territory, which are thought to be carried out by Ukrainian special forces. Alexei Arestovich, formerly a top advisor to President Zelensky, first used the term when asked about an explosion in the Russian city of Belgorod in April last year. Maybe someone had a cigarette in the wrong place, he suggested. Officials now commonly refer back to this tongue-in-cheek answer when quizzed about similar blasts. When Russia withdrew its troops from Kiev early in the war, the Ministry of Defense tried to play the defeat off as a goodwill gesture intended to save lives. Ukraine has since adopted the phrase to describe any Russian battlefield defeat or setback. It is common to hear Ukrainian war bloggers say that Russia is preparing a goodwill gesture if they believe troops are about to withdraw from a section of the front. This is a darkly ironic name given to thermite bombs that Russia has used on some sections of the front line. The shells explode in the air and then rain down chunks of burning metal onto the unfortunate people below. As the pieces burn, they glow a bright white colour and fall in a shape that is reminiscent of a chandelier. Hence the name. Emmanuel Macron has a reputation in Ukraine as a man of many words and few actions after spending the first weeks of the war calling Putin instead of sending weapons. That has given rise to the term Macronite, which is used to refer to someone who makes a big show of being concerned about something while doing little to help. Taken from the name of Russia's defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, Shoiguing is used to mean someone who pretends everything is going well when in fact it is failing spectacularly. Shoigu has constantly tried to reassure both Putin and himself that everything in Ukraine is going according to plan, even when it obviously isn't. Like all major news events these days, the Ukraine war has given rise to an endless stream of memes that have spread across social media. But unlike most other events, it has also given rise to an organisation of sorts that has deployed them like weapons. NATO, or the North Atlantic Fellow Organisation, is an extremely loose collective of social media users, primarily based on Twitter, which have been using memes as a way to hit back at Russian disinformation about the war. It was created by Kamil Jeszczewski, an ethnic Pole now living in UK who began making avatars based on Shiba Inu dogs for people who donated to the Ukrainian military, with the dogs being dubbed the Fellas. Armed with these avatars, Twitter users began seeking out and trolling pro-Russian accounts on the site. The tactic, which mirrors Russia's own notorious troll farms, proved so successful that it led to speculation that it was being funded by the CIA. Kamil denies this, saying the Fellas are just a collection of like-minded individuals who want to take down Russia's information operations. But not all the symbols used in this war are so light-hearted. Some carry extremely dark meanings and have caused problems for Ukraine when they crop up. A number of troops have been caught in photographs wearing or displaying emblems associated with the Nazis. One soldier from the Da Vinci Wolves Special Forces unit was caught wearing a patch with a Totenkopf on it, which means death's head in German, and was worn by SS concentration camp guards. Another soldier from a different unit was seen donning a Sonnenrad, or black sun, which is a common neo-Nazi symbol that first appeared as a floor mosaic in Heinrich Himmler's palace, the architect of the Holocaust. And then there is the Wolf's Angel, a medieval symbol that was adopted by the Nazis and once featured on the insignia of the Azov battalion. Some of these units have historic ties to the far right and were founded as branches of political groups who took up arms against Russia in 2014. Many have since been absorbed into the regular armed forces in an attempt to maintain their fighting prowess while ditching their founding ideology. Kiev denies that far-right ideology is prevalent within its army. And Western journalists who have embedded with Ukrainian units have said there is no widespread support for fascism or Nazism, as Putin and his propagandists like to claim. But the fact that there are any Nazi symbols on display at all is deeply troubling for both Kiev and its allies in the West, whose support will hinge on flushing the ideology out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this.